Here's what's exciting about each person's personal philosophy. That's what makes us different than dogs and animals and birds and cats and spiders and alligators. That's what makes us different than all other life forms. The ability to think, the ability to use your mind, the ability to process ideas, and not just operate by instinct. In the winter, I'm telling you, the goose can only fly south. What if south doesn't look too good? Tough luck. It can only fly south. But see, human beings are not like a goose, can only fly south. I mean, you can turn around, go north, you can go east, you can go west, you can order the entire process of your own life. And we do that by the way we think. We do that by exercising our mind. We do that by processing ideas and come up with a better philosophy, a better strategy for our life, goals for the future, okay? Plans to achieve those goals. All this comes from developing our philosophy. Philosophy helps us to process what's available. Well, when we get here, we got seed and we got soil and we got some rain and we've got some what? Sunshine, and we've got some seasons and what? The miracle of life. Now the key is, what do you do with all this stuff? How do you turn all this stuff that's available here into equity and promise and lifestyle and dreams and future possibilities? All of this that's possible now with human beings, how do you take all this stuff and turn it into this equities and values? Well, it starts with philosophy. What is the seed? What is the soil? What is the sunshine? What is the rain? Is it possible to take some of each of all the stuff that's available and turn it into food and turn it into value and turn it into nourishment and turn it into something spectacular and unique that no other life form can do? And the answer is yes. But you cannot deal with all this stuff and what to do with it unless you start refining your philosophy. Think, use your mind, come up with ideas, and strengthen your philosophy. So the seed and the soil and the rain and the sunshine, this is called, the economy and the banks and the money and the schools and everything that's available out there, processing information, what to do with all that, and turn it into equity and value. That is the major challenge of life, my personal opinion. So each person's personal philosophy now is going to determine what you're going to do with seed and soil and sunshine and rain and miracle, the change of seed. That's it, my personal opinion. Each person's personal philosophy is like the set of the sail. That's what this seminar is for today. Help you to trim a better sail. You don't need a better economy. You don't need better seed and soil. In fact, when it comes to seed and soil and rain and sunshine and seasons and the miracle of life, that's all you got. Now, what if you blame this stuff? Then you're blaming all you got. If you blame the economy and you blame the schools and you blame the teachers and you blame the sermons and the preachers and you blame, the marketplace and you blame the company and company policy, what else is there? When some people get through with their blame list, there isn't nothing else. That's all there is. And if you blame the only thing you've got to work with, I'm telling you, it's called mistake colossal in not understanding that that's all you've got to work with. And if this is all you've got to work with, then you don't change the seed and you don't change the soil and you don't change the rain and you don't change the sunshine, you don't change the seasons. Right? Guy says, I'll take 3 springs, 4 summers, 9 falls, no winters. No, you can't fool with this stuff. You got to take it like it comes. Then what do you change to make your life work well? You got to start with your philosophy.
When does a man or woman die? When their dreams die. When do we die? When we stop developing ourselves, expanding our minds, challenging ourselves, raising the bar on ourselves. The best thinking that I had at that point in my life had produced this life that I have. I need some help. I'm where Einstein was. He said the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. I applaud you for investing in yourself, for coming here, flying thousands of miles, investing money in yourself. I can tell you, based upon my own experience, you have something special. You have greatness within you. What you're doing is different. You represent only 2% of the planet. One great American said, I choose not to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the still calm of utopia. I will never cower before the master, nor bend to any threat. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to face the world boldly and say, this I have done. That's what it means to be a part of peak potentials. Your unquenching desire, an uncommon desire to manifest your greatness. Thank you. The other thing is you look at your goals and look at your dreams. Repeat out to me, please. I will fail my way to success. Yes, part of the reason why we have to continue to work on ourselves and surround ourselves with quality people is because you're going to have a lot of failures. You're going to have a lot of disappointments. Maya Angelou said, and it's true, I found it in my case, that most people go so far in life and then they park. They stop dead in their tracks. Why? Because they take some hits. When you have a goal and dream, think it not strange that you face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will have tribulations. Things are going to happen to you. I was in pursuit of my dream, and all of a sudden, boom, I got hit. A person that I thought I would be with for the rest of my life, I thought was my soulmate. I went through a divorce. I was embarrassed. I was humiliated. How can I teach people how to live their dreams? And I wasn't able to make my marriage work. I questioned myself. I took another hit. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. Then I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Then my best friend from the second grade, Alexander Wims, he was diagnosed with cancer of the liver. I took a hit and life staggered me and I parked. And I didn't turn on my emergency lights because I didn't want to call attention to myself. I didn't want anybody to come and say, hey, do you need a jump? No, I don't need a jump. I'm not out of gas. My battery is not dead. My heart is beating. I'm parked. Leave me be. I'm parked. I was in my comfort zone. I was doing just enough to get by. I was working on a job. They paid me just enough to keep me from quitting. And I worked just hard enough to keep from getting fired. How many know people like that? Blink your eyes if you understand what I'm talking about.
Hey, man, let me say something to you. Why don't you just give yourself a break? Why don't you just be a little happier right now? Just give yourself the gift, brother, sister. You can do that right now. In this moment, you can intend to decide that you're just going to begin to see things. You have a thing in your brain called the reticular activating system. It's what filters out everything in the world that's not important to you and filters in what is. So that's why you're pretty good at sales and building a company, because you see prospects and deals and ideas and innovations everywhere. What if you started to filter into that things that just brought you bliss, peace, and happiness? Give yourself a break, man. You deserve it. You were born to do something great with your life. You were born to do something awesome. You were also born to be happy. And you think, man, if I start having all of this happiness crap you're talking about, I'm going to lose my drive. I'm going to lose my edge. This angry, this intense, this worried version of me keeps the boogeyman away. This is what keeps me working. That's what you think. I used to think it too. Truth is, there's a thing called blissful dissatisfaction. There's a difference between happiness and satisfaction. You can be simultaneously incredibly blissful and still totally dissatisfied. I'm a blissfully dissatisfied human being. I'm more blissful than I've ever been in my life, totally dissatisfied. Still want to win, still want to kick somebody's butt, still want to do something great with my life, but I'm not getting out of here. Here's what happened to me. I was building a mansion, my second big house, and I'm all wound up one day in California. I walk in, there's all these guys probably in the country illegally. They were working on my kitchen, right? And I'm in there. These guys are making no money. They've left their families. They're just trying to get enough money to send back home and maybe have food that night. I'm walking into my dadgum mansion I'm building with my wife and my baby, pissed off about some call I just had, living in complete stress. And I look over, they got mariachi music playing. They're dancing and laughing as they're doing their job. And I thought to myself, if life were counted by the emotions we experience, and it is, they're kicking my ass right now. Who the hell am I to be living this miserable? These guys have nothing and they find a way to get joy. So I'm sharing this with you because you're all high achievers and you're all trying to make a comeback or grow your business. Don't lose the emotional part of your life just to go win and get more stuff. Y'all, you didn't think I was going to talk about this, did you? Pretty good stuff though, yeah?
Now, I ain't no preacher, but people kill me when they ask me. I'm talking to a group of white reporters the other day. They kept asking me, how did I make it? I kept talking about grace and favor. And they kept asking me, who is your agent? I don't know who. Y'all, why you skipping over what I'm trying to tell you? You need the dream, the faith, and then he put his grace and favor on top of it, you gone. But you gotta ask for something. If you up your ass, he got to up his gill, period. You have not cause you ask not. Quit asking God for little bitty stuff. Lord Jesus, help me make my rent. Don't he always? All y'all got somewhere to stay. How about this? Why you keep asking for rent? Why don't you ask for a mortgage? If he gonna give you the money for a place to stay, what difference make God? But if you keep saying rent, ain't he fair? He keep giving you. If you ask for a mortgage, he'll give you a mortgage. But you have not cause you ask not. Lord Jesus, help me fix my car so I can make it to work. Why do you keep praying over that raggedy car? Why don't you ask God for a car that don't need fixing? You know, they roll them off the assembly line every day. How you can't get a new car? How you serve God. How you go to church and you can't get a car? Just a new car. How you can't get that from God? You know why? Because you ain't asking. You keep asking him for stuff that fit in your paycheck. Your paycheck say a 2015 Lexus, so you go down there and ask him for that. Then guess what you get? A 2015 Lexus. You up your ass, he up his ear. You have not questions. This ain't a magic trick, man. I get tired of rich people talking to people, and they make you buy these programs and stuff so they can drag you out for 8 years. You can get the program. Hell, I sell them. that every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you're waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. You see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life and you see people soaring by, when you see people soaring, going to exotic places, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year, every 2 years. You know, how is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift. Because your Bible says, your Bible says your gift will make room for you. Your gift, not your education. You go get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education only gonna take you so far. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, they ain't even using. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soar. If you don't ever use it, you're gonna just go to work. And if you're getting up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you gotta jump. And here's the problem. Let me just be real with you. When you first jump, let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you it did, but it don't. When you jump, it's not going to open right away. You're gonna hit them rocks. You're gonna get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're gonna get all your clothes tore off. You're gonna get some cuts on you. You're gonna be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. Here's another thing. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has. I was speaking at a school once. I was talking to the students. The principal was mortified with my message because I was telling the truth. I was telling the kids, your education is important, but your education is not the most important thing in your life. I'm sorry, it's not. Your dream is the most important thing in this world. Principal came up on the stage while I was speaking. Don't ever say that to my school again. Well, I'm just telling you, dog. You can save your kids a lot of pain if you ever talk to them about their dreams. You got to talk to young people about their dreams. If you talk to kids about their dreams, your dreams can spur you to get the education. But if you never find out what a child is dreaming about, you can't hold their attention. It's the dream, man. You got to dream about something so big that it dwarfs all your fears. The way you overcome fear is with your dream. You got to make your dream so big that nothing matters except that dream. You're willing to do everything that's necessary. I was listening to Will Smith the other day. Will Smith said the best things in life is on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of fear. But fear freezes people, man. The fear of failure freezes people. Suppose I don't do it. Well, you might not make it. But I got news for you. If you don't do it, you damn sure ain't gonna make it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I talk to so many people who get older, like some of us are, and they've lost the faith. Well, faith is really simple. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. All that means is in the beginning, you just hope something pop off. You know, you just kind of hope something happened for you. I was hoping I would get on TV. I wrote it on a piece of paper when I was 10. I want to be on TV. The problem I had when I wrote it at 10 was I suffered from a severe stuttering problem. I could not talk outside of my house. So can you imagine when I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV and turned that in? First thing the little boy next to me asked me, he 10, well, how long is your TV show going to be? Because you're going to be on TV all day. But when I wrote it on the paper, it wasn't factual. It was just hoping. You just got to start with the hope. Faith is the substance of things that you hope for. You just hope something jump. Then what happened is through grace and favor, he give you a couple of them things you hope for, and then you're supposed to start believing then, because now it turns into faith. But if you take this scripture, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Albert Einstein said that imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. That's what your imagination is. Your imagination is actually very, very real. Everything you imagine could be a preview to life's coming attraction. Everything we have today came from somebody's imagination.
We're talking about the future education, and I was taking the approach from adult learning theory and brain science, and he was approaching it from more technology and scale. And somebody who was listening asked the question saying, is there anything missing? You know, what's missing happens in theory and technology. And we were talking about it, and we came to the conclusion it's understanding human motivation. because motive matters, right? And what drives us. I always tell people that there's this success formula. I subscribe to it. I call it H cubed. That it goes from your head to your heart to your hands. Especially in the personal development space or what they teach about goal setting. You could affirm things in your head or think things in your head or visualize things in your head. But if you're not acting with your hands, there's something that's missing, right? There's an incongruency there. And what I tell people is check in with the second H, which is your heart, which is the symbol of emotion, the energy of motion. And so I feel like that's the fuel that fuels the car that gets you to take action for something. And I do believe what got me through it is figuring out what my why was, right? I don't want people to suffer the way I did. If I could do anything about it, for me, it's like no brain left behind, right? Because I live with that identity for so long. And my message to people, whether it's on stage or on the podcast or anything, is that, we are more than what we're demonstrating, that we've been sold this lie, that people are taught through school. Like when I do these demos and I on stage memorize 100 names and words and numbers forwards and backwards, and it appears effortlessly, I always tell people I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's really possible, because the truth is everyone can do this too, and so much more. Apply towards creativity and focus and flow and problem solving and thinking and really overcoming the biggest challenges of their life and maybe even the world. The challenge is we were taught a lie. We were taught a lie that somehow our intelligence, our potential, our learning, our memory somehow is fixed, our creativity is fixed, our thinking is fixed, like our shoe size. And what we've discovered, as you know, more even about brain science, in the past 2 decades, we've discovered more than the previous 2,000 years. And what we know is that we're grossly underestimating its capacity, our own capacity to be able to grow, to be able to contribute, to improve our intelligence and our influence and our impact. And I want to kind of pull the veil behind and just say, hey, this is about transcending. This is about ending the trance that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're not this genius, and telling the truth.
The Bible, how to set goals, how to close sales, how to plan your life. You can learn so many things while you're there in your car. Feed your mind. Second thing I would encourage you to do is start reading something good every day. Did you know if you read 20 minutes a day and you're an average reader, that at the end of the year you will have read 20 200-page books, and that the average American only reads one good book a year? Think of what an advantage that will give you over the competition in whatever field you're in. Now, who does these things? Well, Mary Kay Ash of Mary Kay Cosmetics told me that she would never get in her car without a cassette that she could listen to while she was going somewhere. H.L. Hunt, worth $3 billion at his death, listened to cassette recordings until after he was 80 years old. Wallace Johnson, one of the co-founders of Holiday Inns International, over 80 years old, tells me he listens every day and reads at least 2 good books every month. Alan Bean, one of the astronauts who walked on the moon, told me that the astronauts on their way to the moon and back, and please understand, these people have the best self-images, the most clearly defined goals, the most positive mental attitude. They're the most confident, competent people as a group maybe that our country has. But these people were listening to motivational recordings on their way to the moon and back. And what a delight it is for me to be able to say that some of the recordings they were listening to were fantastic. You need to feed your mind. Now, a lot of times people say, yeah, when I'm down in the dumps just a little bit, I really enjoy listening because it gives me a lift. Well, I'm glad to hear that, but let me give you the most surprising news maybe you've ever heard. It's good to listen when you're down. But, folks, the ideal time to listen is when you're sky high. Let me tell you why. When you're down, sometimes you grab at straws. And sometimes you grab the wrong straw. Also, a lot of times, and here's the real benefit to listening, it triggers your imagination, stirs up all of the stored information which you already have in your mind, and a lot of the good ideas then come forth.
Did a seminar one weekend up at the ranch, up at Clear Lake. Got a lodge up there. Nice setting, high valley, high serenity range. for the weekend, Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday. People drove in from around California. I got there late Friday afternoon. Everybody had pretty well already gotten there. I couldn't believe the parking lot. Continentals and Eldorados, Mercedes, Cadillac, unbelievable. Ferrari, one Rolls Royce, unbelievable. I walked in, good-looking crowd, about like this, sitting there ready for the weekend seminar. My opening remarks were, ladies and gentlemen, I think the rest of the world would find it strange that we have all come here this weekend to try to figure out how to do better. I think the rest of the world would say, I don't understand. The guy in his Rolls Royce saying, I got to get to the seminar, find out how to get another one of these Rolls Royces. Unbelievable. Anyway, let's be thankful. Here's what locks up the doors and the channels to receive more: cynicism. That locks you away. That prevents you from learning more. Being a cynic about the past and the future, cynic about the marketplace, cynical about people, cynical about the institution, cynical about the setup, cynical about yourself, cynical about your chances. See, that locks away all the chance for stuff to flow your way. So, good advice, I think, today. Start off, be thankful. Here's number 2, listen well. That's going to be a challenge today. I understand that. It seems like most of, our life is still going on outside these 4 walls, right? Most of our life seems like it's all, continuing out there. Family and business and associates, market, economy, and whatever else is happening in the midst of your life. And to sort of, pull your attention from what's going on out there and put it in here for just a few hours, I know, a challenge. But do the best you can, listen well. Here's the last one: take good notes. Be a good student today. Take some good notes. I've not come to entertain you, as you can tell by my opening joke, right? I would not make it in Las Vegas. So we don't have a dog and pony show today, no entertainment, but I do have some ideas. Take some good notes. Somebody showed me the other day notes they took about 21 years ago, attending one of my seminars out in Los Angeles. He said, I still use these notes I took 21 years ago to help me in my business relationship with my family. So I'd like to have these notes take they become that value. Then it would be worth me making the investment, come and spend a portion of my lifetime, the energy. And I want this investment I'm making here today to pay off. And one of the ways to pay off me, for you to take good notes and then go away and use whatever makes sense. Because what I feast on coming back around is the story out of this audience today. Sure enough, 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, somebody's going to, by phone, by letter, by personal contact, walk up to me and say, the things you shared that day got me thinking. And I started making some changes. And let me tell you what's happened to my business. Let me tell you what's happened to my sales career. Let me tell you what's happened to my relationship with my family. See, that'll make it worth me. Not the money, the return. Something you can't buy with money.
Write that down. It's necessary as you look at your goals and your dreams, it's necessary that you have a strategy and a game plan to change the story that you believe about yourself. And that's an ongoing process. I've discovered, and many people have, that what we do, what we accomplish, what we produce is a result of the story we believe about ourselves. My favorite book says, be ye not conformed to this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so as I began to work on myself, I realized that I'm getting out of one story and stepping into another story. As I become aware of some things, there's still some things I'm not aware of. So I'm still growing, I'm still developing. I'm like the lady who said, Lord, I ain't what I want to be, ain't what I'm going to be, but thank God I sure ain't what I was. But I realized that you have to work on yourself on a regular basis, and write this down, for mental mindset and stamina, because things are going to happen to you. I believe that the reason that most people go to their graves with their talents and abilities and skills in them is because of the fact, number one, many are like me. They didn't know that they didn't know and thought they knew. I thought I knew myself, and I really didn't know myself as well as I thought. I've discovered that sometimes people can take you to a place within yourself that you can't go by yourself. The other reason is I was afraid. I never worked for a major corporation. I wanted to speak for corporations. I was afraid I would be exposed because I don't have a college education. I felt inferior because of the fact that I don't have a college education. I allowed that level of fear of failure to stop me. And because I never had any experience in it, I assumed that I could not do it. I was paralyzing myself by believing and assuming the limited part of myself as opposed to believing that I had something special. You have something special. There's something you want to do. Because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean that you can't learn. I like something that I heard. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Repeat after me, please. Leap and grow your wings on the way down.
What did I become? What changed with me where things changed? I want you to write this down. I read a book called Selling the Dream by a guy named Guy Kawasaki about that same time. Guy Kawasaki was the guy that sort of marketed Macintosh for Apple. Steve Wozniak's become a pretty good buddy of mine because I had him come speak to my coaching group. So I'm very, very familiar with what made Apple work. Only the greatest company in the history of mankind, right? Or most influential anyway. I'm very familiar with what made that company work. And what made it work is they had unbelievable technical people, but they had a dude that led that company who was a crazy man, like I'm a crazy man, named Steve Jobs. And Steve Jobs didn't have a high IQ. He wasn't an overly technical human being. He was an intense, psycho, crazy, and here's what he was great at doing. He was a great storyteller. If you're going to lead your company, if you're going to take it to the next level, you and your team had best be getting better at telling stories that move people. You're too much about the facts, you're too much about your scripts, you're too much about your presentation, you might even be too much about running numbers. You got to be able to tell a story that grips people emotionally, that shifts them, to create a movement. Are you with me on that? Say yes. You're like, what's that got to do with roofing and all this other stuff? It has everything to do with it. Everything to do with it is a story you tell and how you frame things that gets me to not only participate, but close now and refer you to people. So you think, well, that doesn't matter, we're doing well. You can always do better at this. Write this down. The greatest leaders are evangelical about their cause. They are cause-oriented leaders. They find a way to take an average, ordinary product and somehow build a movement and a cause around it by becoming evangelical about their cause. Evangelical about the money your people might be able to make, or evangelical about the difference you and your company make for families. To the extent you get good at becoming an evangelical leader is the extent that you'll be successful. I'll submit this to you because it's mainly men in here. To the extent that you'll be a great father, great leader of your home and your family, is to the extent that you can become evangelical about the cause and the mission your family's on. I'm constantly telling my children, we're going to do something awesome. Our family's special. Since my son was a little boy, every night he go to bed, you're a leader, you're a gladiator, you're the greatest of all time, Max. We're going to do something great as a family. I tell my daughter that all the time, right? Why? No one told me that crap when I was growing up. I had an alcoholic dad. No one told me. I just hope he came home and didn't get mad. So are you evangelical about your life, about your cause, when people get around you? Maybe you're not loud. I'm not. Just so you know, when I walk off this stage, I'm the most introverted person in this room. Ask anybody who knows me. If I'm at a party, I don't talk. I'm quiet. If we were at the mall, brother, and we went to high school together, and I saw you, I'd love to connect, but I'm so quiet and introverted, I'd duck into a store to hide so we don't have to connect. But I had to learn to be a storyteller. I had to learn to transfer energy, to express myself. And I'm not capable of talking about crap I don't believe. I wasn't raised that way. But if you get me believing it, you get me talking about my faith, my family, any New England sports team, and my companies, I will move you. I will move you emotionally because I'm an evangelist about my cause. So what do those leaders have in common? If we go back and look at there, what does Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, my dumbass, Elon Musk, I use Rachel Hollis, and sweet Kris Jenner, who's my neighbor, what do we all have in common? How about this group? Andy Frisella. I purposely put him next to Mother Teresa because I think that's hilarious, right? If you know Andy, he's my business partner in one of my companies. Mark Zuckerberg, and this ain't a political statement. I don't like anything Facebook does. I just have it there for that reason. MLK, who's my hero. Dwayne Johnson, not real happy with him lately either. And Martha Stewart. What do all those people have in common? In different ways, they become evangelical about their mission and their cause and their company. And that will be the separator for you. You want to build a great company, a great life, a great family, great wealth? I'm evangelical about all of it, all the time. That's a very specific word, by the way, evangelical. What do all they have in common? You got that. What's an evangelist do? A person who seeks to convert others, especially by public preaching, a zealous advocate of a cause. That's what an evangelist does. You must speak about these things, write about these things, post on your social media about it. When your people get around you, it's infectious and repetitive, and you don't tire of saying it over and over. I like when my guys roll their eyes at me. Here he goes again. This is the mission we're on. This is what we're going to do this year. And they're rolling their eyes, and I'm just putting it in their consciousness again and again and again because I'm relentless about it. Amen? Yes, say yes. So, why? Because our obsessions become our possession.
It is not in your current situation or your current paycheck. And if you've been living like that, you have then restricted yourself to a commonality that is really not yours. Because what really God got for you is really in your imagination. Now, since there's a lot of church folk in here, let me tie that to a scripture, because this is when you really start to affect black folks. See, y'all don't really believe nothing till you tie it to some type of church thing. So let's just go on and do that. And once again, before I start this, I am not a pastor or a preacher, and I can talk for a very small amount of time without cussing. So it's really, I know about the time limit. I'm going to try to end my speech before I hit that point because I want to stay dignified. This is about men of Omega, so I'm going to stay dignified. There is a script that Albert Einstein took. It's like book C, top-selling motivation ever book. The C, everything comes from Bible. You don't need magic, power, positive, how to roll it, when it's so I read them all. All of that information is in Proverbs, all of it. But let me give you this script. You've all heard, right? Faith is substance things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
See, ladies and gentlemen, we get 3 to 4 thoughts a year that if we would act on those thoughts, they could change our life. Don't say, well, I'll remember that. No, write that thought down. I got a thought today I wrote down. A friend of mine is in the hospital. His morale is low. They're talking about amputating his foot. He's got to feel very bad. So I said, you know, I'm not only am I going to see him, but I can't be there with him all the time. I said, I'm going to create a tape for him that he can listen to that will heighten his level of morale. We told him the other night, don't go to surgery. You are depressed. Your energy level is down. No, tell him not now. Don't do it now. In fact, most doctors who have any sense of awareness don't perform surgery on patients that are in a state of fear, that don't think they will make it. They wait till they're in a different state of mind. So I said, what about making tapes for people that are facing physical challenges? I said, that's a good idea. All right. See, there are ideas that can come to you out of things that appear to be negative. I have a friend out of Chicago, just met him. He was 23 years old. And this guy, he went financially bankrupt 2 years ago, ruined his credit. Guess what he decided to do? He found a blessing in it. He wanted to restore his credit. It was very challenging, very difficult. And he realized that a lot of other people during these particular times had ruined their credit. So now he started a credit repair business. Last year, he earned over $100,000 helping people to restore their credit. I met a young lady who attends this church, that she was at her father's funeral and she was putting flowers on her father's grave, and she looked around and saw the other grave sites. They did not look well groomed and they were not attended to on a regular basis. She started a grave site maintenance business. Out of that tragedy, something positive has come out of it. And now she's earning more money doing that than on her present job. What idea are you sitting on? Write your ideas down. And then, what idea are you sitting on? Write your ideas down. And then, once you get that idea, take the leap. Hello? Take the leap. See, a lot of people get the ideas and just walk around with them. Have you ever had an idea and all of a sudden you looked around and somebody had that idea and gone with it? Think you're going to be going with my hospital idea. Forget that, buddy. We will be out there together, Jack. Take the leap. See, it's out here in the universe. If you don't take the plunge, I guarantee you, somebody else will. Take the plunge. Go into action. And ladies and gentlemen, you will be surprised at how things will come together. You'll be surprised. Now, you're going to have some difficult challenges. I can tell you that now. Be aware of that. Things are not going to work out exactly right. For a time, they will, sometimes. And that's when life is just playing a game with you. I want you to feel good and relax. And then after a while, say, okay, the honeymoon's over now. And then life will come over there and slap you side the head. Say, what you doing out here? Well, this is my dream life. Is that right? Come over here a minute. Oh, you went to the seminar, huh? Come here. I can tell you that. But ladies and gentlemen, go into action with your dream. And don't avoid where the fights are. Get in the midst of the fight. And get some hickeys on your head. Get knocked down so you can learn how to fight, so you can hold your position. See, most people don't get out in the arena of life because they don't want to fight. Most people don't get out there because they don't want to get knocked down. They don't want to be dropped to their knees. But see, you're going to be dropped whether you're on the field or whether or not you're sitting on the sidelines. You're going to be dropped. So at least get dropped for something. Don't get knocked down while you're sitting down. See, that's how most people are spectators in life. You don't want to be a spectator. You want to get out in the field where the action is. And you will be amazed. After the struggle, there will be a calm period and things will begin to click for you. Come out here with what you got. You don't have enough money? Don't worry about it. You got the dream. You got the idea. You don't have enough resources? Don't worry about it. You need some help? Don't worry about it. You get out here in the arena, someone will look at you and become inspired and say, hey, can I help you? But if you're sitting up on the bleachers, nobody's going to ask you anything. You've got to get into the flow of action. Frances Harth called me from Chicago. She had been sitting on an idea of a show that she wanted to produce for 10 years called Mind-Body Connection. So someone saw me speaking in Chicago at a sorority convention and said, I saw a guy that perhaps can host this show for you who has energy and charisma. She called me. She was so fired up. I said, listen, on the day that you want to do that, I'm speaking in Chicago. I can do it for you. And I said, by the way, I met somebody 2 weeks ago in Baltimore who has an idea of the same type of show, and she's doing it on radio. Why don't you call her? And then she called me back. Who else would you suggest? I said, well, I know Deepak Chopra. He wrote the book called Quantum Healing, and Bernie Siegel. Could you get his number? I tell you what, I have a friend named Jack Boland at the Church of the Day. He knows how to get in touch with him. Call him, and he will give you the number so you can get in touch with Bernie Siegel. That lady started calling all around. Did not have the resources, but she had this idea and dream. And she said the other night when she came before the audience that had gathered in the studio, she said, I feel like I've been pregnant for 10 years.
And this one was a little tough for me. He said, Mr. Rohn, you've got pennies in your pocket, you've got nothing in the bank, the creditors are calling, you're behind on your promises. He says, here's how that occurs. You've attracted, up until now, you've attracted the things to you because of the person you've become. Now I said, well, how can I change all that? He said, very simple. If you will change, everything will change for you. You don't have to change what's outside. All you've got to change is what's inside. To have more, you simply have to become more. And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. And he said, it'll all change for you. Shoaff said, here's the secret, Mr. Rohn. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I got that, it turned my life around. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. He said, if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. If you would have known me at age 25, you would have said, Jim Rohn's a hard worker. If you'd have known me, you'd have said that. I'm the guy, I don't mind coming a little bit early, staying a little bit late, I don't mind that. You'd have said, well, Jim Rohn's a hard worker. You say, well, how come he's got pennies in his pocket and nothing in the bank and behind on his promises? Well, I was a hard worker, but I was working hard on my job, not on myself. I'm telling you, if you'll learn that simple little principle and start the process today, latest tomorrow, give you tonight to think it over, and start this whole process of personal development, work on yourself, make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, you can so dynamically change your income. And economics is the least of the values that you can start earning in terms of equity if you'll start working harder on yourself than you do on your job.
The thing that really, really helps is I've learned about the perspective to change my perspective. So for example, I show up to give. And I always remind people that the most important thing about being an effective presenter, an effective speaker, is you have to show up with a giving attitude. You have to show up to give. You know something, you've seen something, you've done something, you've tried something that someone else thinks others need to hear. That's why they invited you to speak. The problem is the number of people who show up to take, to get. And you can see it. It's very plain to see. People ask a question and they say, you'll have to buy my book. Or you could just tell me the answer because you know the answer because you wrote the book, right? But clearly they're trying to drive book sales. It's a taking mentality. Every single slide of their PowerPoint has their Instagram, their email, their website, their Facebook. Well, clearly they want you to follow them. They want you to reach out. The last slide is their website and their email, right? They have a taking mentality. They come up and the first thing they do is tell you their credentials. Hi, my name is, Dr. Blah-de-blah. I have 6 PhDs. I've worked for 55 companies. I advise CEOs and generals. And let me tell you a little something. It's about them. It's very easy and very quick to discern who's the giver and who's the taker. The best speakers, 100% of them, you look at all the top TED folks, Sir Ken Robinson, Amy Cuddy, Brene Brown, right? Dan Pink, all of them are there to give.